You ever see a guy open up to a woman about something deep, his fears, his past, his struggles, and think he's building intimacy? He thinks she'll appreciate the honesty. He thinks she'll feel closer. But instead, something changes. She pulls back, looks at him differently. That spark? Gone. Some things, once said, can't be unsaid. And once a woman hears them, her perception of you shifts permanently. This isn't about lying or pretending to be someone you're not. This is about understanding that women don't respond to vulnerability the way most men are told they do. Society says, be open, share everything, let her in. But in reality, there's a line. Cross it, and you lose something you might never get back. Here's a quick way to look at it. Think of your personal secrets like the engine of a high-performance car. It's what makes it powerful, fast, and unique. But if you pop the hood for someone who doesn't know what they're looking at, or worse, someone who doesn't respect the machine, they'll either mess with it, damage it, or just lose interest because the mystery's gone. That engine isn't meant to be explained. It's meant to be felt when the car moves. Same with you. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. This space is for men who are tired of playing by rules that don't work. We're here to think sharper, move smarter, and stop giving away our power for free. Because the moment you tell a woman certain things about yourself, things you think will make her understand you better, you actually take the edge off your presence. You become more predictable, less desirable, less respected. So in this video, we're diving into 5 things you must never tell a woman, no matter how close you think you are. Because once those words are out, it's not just her view of you that changes. It's your position in the relationship. Let's get into it. 1. Never tell her. You're afraid she'll leave. Telling a woman you're afraid she'll leave doesn't make her feel more loved. It makes you look emotionally fragile. You may think you're opening up, expressing how much she means to you, hoping she'll reassure you. But what you're really doing is handing her all the power and showing that your sense of stability depends on her presence. That kind of emotional pressure can turn even the most interested woman off. A lot of men confuse emotional honesty with emotional dependency. Yes, women want connection. Yes, they want to feel chosen, but they do not want to feel responsible for holding you together. When you say things like, I don't know what I'd do if you left, what she hears is, I don't have control over my life if you walk away. That's not love, it's weight. And the moment she feels like she's carrying your emotional state, she starts to pull back. Not because she wants to hurt you, but because she's no longer looking at a man she can lean on. Attraction fades when leadership disappears. And leadership doesn't mean being bossy or loud, it means being emotionally solid. If a woman feels like you're constantly worried about losing her, she starts to question whether you're grounded in who you are or if you're just trying to hold on to someone who makes you feel valuable. She wants to be with a man who is whole on his own, not someone whose identity melts the moment the relationship is threatened. Say you're dating a woman and things have been going well, but recently she's been a little distant. Maybe life's stressing her out, maybe she needs space, but instead of holding your frame, you blurt out that you're scared she's slipping away. In your mind, you're being vulnerable. In her mind, she's now responsible for your emotional balance. That energy quickly turns into resentment. She doesn't feel safe under your leadership anymore. She feels pressure to keep you from falling apart. This doesn't mean you can't care deeply about someone. It means you don't lead with emotional desperation. You don't make fear your message. The man who stays attractive over time is the one who shows he can handle closeness and distance. He never uses his emotions to control the situation or gain sympathy. He knows what he brings to the table. And if someone chooses to walk, he won't crumble. The fear of losing her should never be louder than the confidence in keeping yourself together. Women respect the man who doesn't beg, panic, or fold. They stay drawn to the man who's calm under pressure and willing to let her go if she wants to leave. 2. Don't confess. Past simps and failures. There's nothing impressive about telling a woman how badly you used to chase other women, how often you got played, or how many times you were the one doing everything while getting nothing in return. You might think it shows growth, like you've learned from your mistakes. But what it actually does is reveal that you were once the kind of man who lacked standards, self-respect, and awareness. That's not something you want her to picture when she looks at you. A woman doesn't need to hear how you used to beg for attention, tolerate disrespect, or keep giving chances to someone who clearly didn't value you. All she sees in those stories is a version of you that couldn't walk away when he should have. And whether you've changed or not, that image lingers in her mind. It plants a seed of doubt about whether you're really different now, or if that same weakness still lives underneath the surface. When a man speaks too openly about how badly he used to get treated, he doesn't sound strong. He sounds like he still hasn't let it go. And sometimes, the more you talk about it, the more it seems like you're still carrying it with you. You're not making her see you as emotionally evolved. You're making her question why you allowed yourself to be that kind of man in the first place. It's also important to understand that attraction is rooted in respect. When you admit to a history of being disrespected, ignored, or constantly overlooked, you don't raise her respect, you lower it. You might think she'll admire the growth, but more often than not, she'll just lose the image of you as a man who's always been in control. Even if that wasn't your reality before, she doesn't need to know that. She only needs to see the man you are today, not the one you used to be begging for crumbs. Women don't need to know about your past losses to appreciate your presence. They respond to the energy you carry now. When you walk with self-respect, they feel it. When you stay calm, clear, and centered, they notice. And when you carry yourself like a man who would never accept mistreatment, past, present, or future, that's when you gain their respect without saying a word. So keep your past where it belongs. Learn from it, grow from it, and never repeat it. But don't relive it out loud to someone you're trying to build with. She's not your therapist, and your lowest moments aren't the path to emotional connection. What she needs to feel is that she's with a man who's unshakable, not one who's still processing who he used to be. 3. Stop admitting you feel lost without her. Telling a woman you feel lost without her might sound like an emotional truth, but in her mind, it often comes off as pressure. You're not creating intimacy, you're creating weight. No matter how close you are or how long you've been together, the moment you say she's the reason you feel whole, you shift the energy. Now it's no longer about mutual respect. It becomes emotional dependency, and that always changes how she sees you. Every man goes through moments where he feels disconnected or uncertain. Life hits, things fall apart. Relationships can be a source of peace, comfort, and support. But when you turn that woman into your anchor, your emotional compass, your reason for feeling okay, it puts her in a position she didn't ask to carry. She may care about you. She may even love you. But love can't thrive where leadership disappears. You're allowed to struggle. You're allowed to not have everything figured out. But you're not allowed to make her the solution to your problems. That's where a lot of men slip. They confuse deep connection with emotional surrender. They think vulnerability is about showing how broken they are. It's not. Vulnerability is controlled. It's shared with intention, not dumped out of fear or desperation. Women respond to strength, not just physical strength, but emotional structure. If she feels like you can't function without her, it makes her question what happens when things get hard. Can you hold it together? Can you stay focused when you're under pressure? Or are you going to fall apart every time she needs space? Every time she disagrees with you? Every time she doesn't show up the way you hoped? When a man says, "I feel lost without you," it doesn't sound romantic. It sounds unstable. It tells her you're not leading your life. You're reacting to hers. That's not love. That's dependence. And dependence kills desire. The strongest men are the ones who remain steady, even when things get emotional. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about knowing that your identity, your direction, and your confidence don't come from someone else. They come from within. And when a woman sees that in you, she doesn't feel burdened. She feels safe. She's not being asked to carry you. She's being invited to stand beside you. If you're feeling lost, fix your compass. Reconnect with your mission. Get clear on who you are outside of the relationship. because no woman can give you what you're supposed to build for yourself. 4. Never reveal you compare yourself to other men. When you admit to a woman that you compare yourself to other men, you expose more than insecurity. You reveal uncertainty about who you are, and once that's out in the open, it changes how she sees you. Attraction fades when a man starts measuring himself against everyone else. Even if she cares about you, the moment you show that you're unsure of your position, it weakens the way she experiences your presence. Every man battles self-doubt. It's not uncommon to notice who's taller, more successful, better dressed, more charismatic, or more accomplished. That internal voice exists. But the mistake is bringing that voice to the surface and letting it speak in front of her. You may think you're being honest or open, but what you're really doing is undermining your own value. Instead of standing firm in who you are, you're admitting that you let the presence of other men affect your identity. A woman wants to feel like she's with a man who doesn't flinch in the presence of other strong men, not because you're the richest or most attractive guy in the room, but because you're the most grounded. A man who moves with confidence, regardless of who's around him, is a man who leads. And leadership isn't always about status, it's about certainty. The man who doesn't get shaken by competition is the one who stands out. When you say things like, "I wish I had what he has," or "I don't know how I compare," you lose more than her interest. You lose her trust in your self-image. She starts to feel like she has to be your emotional cushion. That creates a silent shift. She no longer sees you as the man who owns his space. She starts seeing you as the man who needs reassurance just to keep going. And once that starts, it's hard to reverse. Confidence isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about owning what you are without apology. You don't need to prove anything to the world, and definitely not to her. When you stop chasing the idea of being better than other men, you give yourself space to be solid in your own identity, and that's what makes you different. That's what draws people in without you having to say a word. Men who compare constantly live in quiet fear. They fear not measuring up, not being enough, not winning the invisible race. But that race doesn't exist unless you run in it. Step out of it. Define your own lane. Walk in it fully. Because when a woman sees a man who refuses to be rattled by anyone else, that's the man who becomes unforgettable. 5. Don't talk about how many women rejected you. When you tell a woman how many times you've been rejected, ghosted, or ignored by other women, you're not being relatable. You're lowering your value. You might think you're showing humility or honesty, but all she hears is that other women didn't see you as desirable. That creates doubt. Whether she realizes it or not, her mind starts asking questions. If so many women weren't interested in him, why was I? What did I miss? It's not about lying. It's about knowing what to keep to yourself. The way you speak about your past shapes the way she sees you in the present. And if your words make you sound like a man who's been constantly overlooked or unwanted, it becomes harder for her to admire you. Even if she felt strong attraction before, that image gets chipped away. There's a scene in The Pursuit of Happiness where Will Smith's character is dead broke, sleeping in public restrooms, hustling through every obstacle just to get by. But even during his lowest moments, he never walked around telling people how many doors slammed in his face. He kept moving. He held his composure. He didn't announce his losses. He focused on his mission. And that's why, when he finally succeeded, people respected him. Not because they saw his pain, but because they saw his quiet persistence. You don't have to hide what you've been through, but you should be selective about how and when you share it. Talking about rejection too freely can make it seem like you haven't healed from it. And when a woman senses that rejection still lingers in your system, she starts to feel like she's dealing with a man who hasn't fully stepped into his power. The truth is, rejection happens to every man. No one escapes it. But carrying that rejection into new situations and putting it on display only shows that you're still living in the shadow of your past. A confident man doesn't advertise who didn't want him. He focuses on becoming the kind of man people regret walking away from. You want a woman to feel like she made the right choice by being with you, not like she's giving a second chance to someone no one else wanted. Even if your dating history isn't impressive, your current energy should be. Show up like a man who knows his worth. Speak like someone who's not begging to be liked. And walk like you've never been concerned about who did or didn't choose you. Because when you stop talking like a man who lost and start moving like a man who's building, people stop seeing your past and start noticing your presence. 6. Don't tell her you're still healing from a breakup. Telling a woman that you're still healing from your last relationship doesn't make her feel closer to you. It makes her feel like a stand-in. Even if your intention is to be honest and open, what she hears is that you're not fully available. And no matter how understanding she seems in the moment, that information will shape how she sees you from that point forward. A woman doesn't want to feel like she's part of your recovery process. She wants to feel chosen because she's special, not because you're broken. The moment you open up about still healing, she starts to sense that your emotional energy is split. You're physically with her, but mentally, part of you is still tied to the past. That uncertainty affects everything, from how she connects with you to how deeply she allows herself to feel for you. There's a big difference between being emotionally available and being emotionally raw. One shows maturity and readiness. The other shows that you're not over what hurt you. And when a man starts talking about heartbreaks that still sting, it tells her he's not done with the process yet. It tells her that someone else still has influence over how he feels, how he moves, and what he expects from love. She may say she understands. She may even try to help. But deep down, that creates emotional weight. Now, instead of building something new with a man who's grounded and self-assured, she's managing someone who's still trying to find his footing. That silent shift is all it takes for attraction to fade. Not because she's heartless, but because it's not her job to rebuild you. Healing is personal. It's not meant to be shared with someone you're trying to build fresh chemistry with. That inner work should happen before the connection even starts. Because when a man shows up fully restored, fully in control, and emotionally clear, she feels it. And she doesn't have to question whether he's really present. If you're still healing, take a step back and face that reality. Don't drag someone else into the mess just to ease your own emotional load. Don't confuse company with clarity. You're not doing her a favor by being honest about your brokenness. You're just placing the weight of your past on someone who didn't create it. Women are drawn to men who feel complete. You don't have to be perfect, but you do need to be stable. Don't hand her the emotional baggage your ex left behind. Deal with it. Process it. Handle it like a man who understands that real healing happens in solitude, not during a new connection. Show up when you're ready, not when you're looking to feel better. 7. Never say she's out of your league. Telling a woman she's out of your league might sound like a compliment, but it's actually a quiet confession that you don't see yourself as good enough. And when a man admits that, directly or indirectly, he places himself beneath her. No woman wants to feel like she's with someone who believes he's beneath her. That dynamic never leads to respect, and without respect, there is no real attraction. It's time to stop romanticizing insecurity. If you keep approaching women with the mindset that they're somehow doing you a favor by giving you attention, you'll always be operating from weakness. She might smile when you say it. She might even laugh. But don't mistake politeness for admiration. Internally, it changes how she sees you, and not in your favor. Men need to hear this. The moment you pedestalize a woman just because of her looks, status, or social following, you lose your sense of value. You don't know what she's really like yet. You don't know her character, her mindset, or how she moves when no one's watching. All you know is how she appears, and that's never enough to assume someone is above you. It's lazy thinking. Instead of focusing on leveling yourself up and becoming the kind of man who doesn't even think in leagues, you're choosing to look up and feel small. That mindset has to die if you want to move with real confidence. And if you've been guilty of this, good. Now you can do something about it. Start checking yourself. Start paying attention to the language you use when you're around women you find attractive. Do you shrink? Do you overcompensate? Do you speak like someone who's trying to earn approval instead of simply being himself? If so, fix that now. Confidence isn't about pretending to be superior. It's about refusing to see yourself as less than anyone. You don't have to be the richest, tallest, or best-looking man in the room. You just have to move like a man who doesn't compare. You have to carry yourself like someone who belongs, even if no one claps for you yet. That energy is what women feel. That's what shifts how they respond to you. Stop calling women out of your league. If anything, ask yourself if she qualifies to be in your life. That's not arrogance. That's self-respect. Build the life, the values, and the vision that makes you the league, and then act like it. Most men were never taught how much their words shape how a woman sees them. We're told to be honest, open, and vulnerable, but we're rarely told how or when. That's why so many men end up oversharing things that slowly kill the very attraction they're trying to build. Here's something most won't admit. The more a woman knows your fears, doubts, and emotional weaknesses too early, the less she desires you. It doesn't mean you have to be cold or fake. It means you have to know the difference between connection and exposure. Some things are better earned, not handed out for free. So take a step back and ask yourself, have you said things in the past that shifted the power dynamic without realizing it? Have you let emotions lead you into conversations that made you look smaller than you really are? If so, it's time to adjust. Not to impress anyone, but to protect your presence. I want to hear your thoughts on this. What have you said before that you now realize you shouldn't have? What shifted after you said it? Drop it in the comments. I'll be in there replying and having real conversations with you. This is a space for men to grow, to sharpen, and to stop making avoidable mistakes. If this helped you see things clearer, let me know. And if it challenged you a bit, even better. That means you're waking up. We're just getting started.